Hey everybody. Holy shit. What an episode 8, am I right? Before I begin this preview for episode 9, I want to clarify two things. I am 100% on board with the Bernard is a clone of Arnold theory, and also William is the man in black 30 years in the past theory. So I am going to be referring to the man in black and William interchangeably. Same with Bernard and Arnold. So this promo begins where we left off in episode 8, with William and Dolores being tracked down by Logan and his men. So in episode 5, William basically leaves Logan to perish. But even in the unruly town of Pariah, real people cannot die. It appears that Logan is going to torture William by torturing Dolores. He is tied down, he has a look of shock and despair on his face. We then see Dolores looking upwards after being physically assaulted in some way. We also see her resisting Logan's men. We know Logan is capable of this because he is a fucking dickhead.
What the fuck?
As stated by Maeve, this is not the first time that Maeve and Bernard have interacted.
Your memory.
We've been down this road before.
We saw in episode 8 that after Maeve attacks the man in black by cutting his throat, her narrative is changed by Bernard and Dr. Ford. Her narrative changes from being a single mom to running the saloon in Sweetwater. This narrative change probably happened a year before the show begins. This interaction between Bernard and Maeve could be one of the moments that triggers Bernard's self-realization, realizing that he is actually a clone of Arnold. This also could be the beginning of a partnership between Maeve and Bernard. I have been critical of the Maeve storyline, but it would be an interesting change of events if Maeve had an ally on the inside like Bernard. But then again, it's not an ally you can trust, because at any moment Ford can say, "Hey Bernard, analysis, are you planning a revolution with Maeve?" Well, there you go. Done. Now, in this moment, we see the previous conversation between Dr. Ford and Bernard, where Bernard is telling Ford about the Riveries and how the update to the programming is allowing the host to recall memories, and apparently hear a voice named Arnold. And we also see the photograph that Dr. Ford shows Bernard, where it looks like there is a person-sized gap on the right side of the photograph. I do believe that before this season ends, that Bernard is going to recognize himself in that photograph. I think it could be used as a cliffhanger, maybe one of the last scenes of season 1. Now, the quote that "you broke into my mind" is interesting because it can be taken literally, as in Ford is actively manipulating Bernard to do his dirty work, and it could be taken figuratively, forcing Bernard to do things that he would never do when he was Arnold, and also conditioning him to be indifferent towards the hosts. By creating Bernard, Ford essentially made the ideal version of Arnold, according to Ford, where he maintains his intellectual prowess, but he is less sentimental towards the hosts. Now, Ford has already lied to Bernard about him strangling Elsie Hughes to death. I really hope Elsie isn't dead. She was my favorite character. It's highly unlikely that Ford is going to flat out tell Bernard, "Hey, you're a clone of Arnold." But it is interesting how they place those two little scenes together. I know this is just a promo, but it's an interesting place of these two shots, where Bernard is saying, "What else have you hidden from me?" And then they're showing the moment when Ford describes Arnold to Bernard.
They were talking to the same imaginary person. Someone named Arnold.
This shot here is very interesting. It's a very creepy scene. It's kind of got like a Last of Us, Walking Dead feel to it, where it's an empty hallway with these dead bodies. It's hard to tell if these bodies belong to hosts or real people. Maeve did say that she was going to try and form an army, and she has basically become the Neo of Westworld. She's changing narratives with a simple command or a phrase. So this could be the first battle between the hosts and the security of Westworld. But we also see Dolores walking through this hallway in a separate promo, so it's hard to determine which timeline this moment is actually happening in. Now, these sequential moments show Bernard waking up from the nightmare of killing Teresa. Now, they've put them back to back in this promo. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are two scenes that happen one after the other. We already know that it's possible for the hosts to relive specific moments and memories from their lives, but Bernard's memory was wiped by Ford. I'm not sure if Bernard was implanted with the Riveries. You would think that Ford would want to keep Bernard completely unaware of his past exploits. especially the murder of his former lover. Now, in episode 8, we learned a ton of new information about the Man in Black that had been speculated on for weeks. But before I get into that, I want to discuss this host in particular. Now, her appearance with the Man in Black basically confirms the multiple timeline theory. She is the host that welcomes newcomers when William first arrives in the park. She is also present in the flashback that Dolores has about the town with the White Church. And now she has even interacted with the Man in Black in the present timeline. It's highly unlikely that she would get 3 different narrative changes in such a short period of time, so it looks like she is appearing in all 3 timelines. When the Man in Black first encounters her as a spy for Wyatt, he says, "I thought Ford would have retired you by now." As for the Man in Black in episode 8, when Teddy tells him, "You talk like you own this world," the Man in Black responds, "Not just this world." He could be speaking figuratively or literally. We now know that he is a billionaire, a philanthropist, a self-described god. So it's entirely possible that he is the owner of Westworld and Delos. The prior evidence was that the Man in Black claimed that he saved Westworld from going under after Arnold died, and Logan makes a remark when they arrive in Pariah talking about buying out the owners of Westworld. We know William had some role in this company as a young man and eventually marries Logan's sister. And in episode 8, the Man in Black admits to Teddy that his wife commits suicide and his daughter holds him responsible. The Man in Black has stated his contempt for the real world throughout the show and how the outside world lacks true meaning.
You know why this beats the real world, Lawrence? Real world is chaos. It's an accident. But in here, every detail adds up to something.
His obsession with Westworld and the meaning that it gives to his life is probably what drove his wife into suicide. We also learn about the moment where the Man in Black discovers the possibility of the maze. After attempting to play the bad guy for the first time in his life, he murders Maeve and her defenseless child. Jesus Christ, dude. You go straight to murdering kids? What the fuck is wrong with you? In that moment, the Man in Black realizes the potential for real consciousness when Maeve doesn't die and actually attacks him. She grabs a knife and tries to slit his throat. A host has finally fought back and broken the rules of Westworld. Now, at the end of this promo, they also tease the first appearance of Wyatt in the present-day timeline. So far, we have only seen him in Teddy's flashbacks. Who is Wyatt? Well, I actually dove into that one on one of my previous videos. And looking back, I think I was wrong. Kind of. In the middle of episode 8, Dolores and William finally reach the mysterious town with the White Church. This town seems to have some unofficial connection between Dolores, Arnold, Teddy, and the maze. And Dr. Ford. This town also appears in Teddy's flashback right before he escapes from the Union soldiers, and Dr. Ford's flashback when discussing Arnold's philosophy on the hosts. It appears that it was used as an area to test and integrate the hosts into the park. When Dolores finally reaches the town, it appears to be buried in the ground, and instead of remembering her time there, she is reliving it. Hosts do not remember things, they relive them. Their memories are programmed into their brains, so it can be difficult for them to differentiate between reality and memory. The town then gets thrown into chaos when an unidentified gunslinger starts massacring all of the hosts, with Dolores ultimately deciding to commit suicide. The gunslinger appears to be Teddy, and this massacre most likely happened during or shortly after Dolores' secret meetings with Arnold. Now, in Teddy's flashback, Wyatt is also present in the town with the White Church when this massacre is happening. We are led to believe, from Teddy's perspective, that Wyatt is the perpetrator of this massacre, and Teddy is just one of his followers. But how come Wyatt is not present in Dolores' flashback? This is Teddy's new narrative, a fiction that is rooted in truth. So while Dolores is seeing people in this town, Teddy is seeing soldiers, and he's also seeing Wyatt. So the differences between the flashbacks is probably so Teddy doesn't get hurt. The hosts cannot see things that will hurt him. But why would the truth hurt him in this situation? Now, it begs the question, could Dolores be Wyatt? Is she the villain that Dr. Ford has propped up for the Man in Black, the adversary? From this moment in the promo, Wyatt appears to be a man of short stature, and so far from what we know of Dolores in the present timeline, Teddy and the Man in Black believe that she was kidnapped by Wyatt.
What is that? Exactly.
Looking for a man named Wyatt. Killed a rancher back in Sweetwater. Took his daughter.
That last part doesn't sound familiar.
Dolores has already shown the ability to break her loop and kill several times during season 1.
How did you do that?
You said people come here to change the story of their lives. I imagined a story where I didn't have to be the damsel.
Now, this is where the shit gets crazy. If Dolores is Wyatt, it could be possible that Arnold programmed Dolores to go on a killing spree, that this was all part of his plan to finally destroy Westworld. A massacre in the town with the White Church, killing all of the hosts, and then telling Dolores to turn around and kill Arnold. Why would Dolores do this? Well, Arnold did say she was going to help him destroy this place. So she was probably programmed by Arnold to go on this rampage in order to demonstrate how dangerous the hosts could be, which would lead to Westworld's eventual destruction. I pointed out in one of my previous videos that a moment of suicidal thoughts, the ability to take your own life, is there any greater representation of real consciousness? So maybe this was a way for Arnold to have Westworld be destroyed while simultaneously having Dolores realize her true consciousness, become a real person after the massacre takes place.
What are you doing? Are you okay? I was calling you and you just kept going.
Where are we?
Now, in the present-day timeline, the town is buried. In the William and Logan timeline, the town is buried. The only time that the town is not buried is in the very beginning, during the meetings between Arnold and Dolores. Now, why would the town be buried? Well, it's simple. Dr. Ford is a man who is obsessed with playing with his toys. He loves being the god of Westworld, so he would want to cover this up. This also is a good explanation for why nobody would recognize Bernard as an Arnold clone. You know, it's a 35-year gap. I'm pretty sure that the same people are not working in Westworld, that there has been changes in the board, in the personnel. Dr. Ford points out that he's seen many people come and go throughout his time. But obviously, Dr. Ford would want to cover up this event, that he wouldn't want people to know that his hosts were capable of these types of massacres, especially killing one of the creators of the park. They called it a suicide. That's what Dr. Ford says to Bernard. But he also says that he knew Arnold was very, very careful. Contingency plan. If Arnold did in fact commit suicide, that would kind of be a letdown. You know, this is fiction, it's not real life, so there's got to be some sort of meaning to his death. In my Who is Wyatt video, I talk extensively on the conditions of his new narrative. Ford says that it was a time of war, a world in flames with a villain called Wyatt.
Yeah, of course I remember Wyatt. You look upon the face of true evil, you ain't liable to forget. He claimed he could hear the voice of God. Went missing while out on some maneuvers and came back a few weeks later with some pretty strange ideas.
So if you replace Wyatt with Dolores, it kind of starts to add up. Now the question is, why is Ford creating this new narrative centering on the White Church? I don't know. I don't fucking know. We're gonna have to fucking wait and see. If you have comments, if you have theories on this, if you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Once again, it's like 5:30 in the morning. My sleeping patterns are not adequate for a healthy lifestyle. Thanks for watching and happy Thanksgiving.